What if love is not enough? What if caring about someone deeply still does not tell you who you're supposed to choose, who you're supposed to hurt, or who you're supposed to become? Because that is exactly where Sullivan's Crossing feels like it is heading now. Not toward a simple romance, not toward an easy answer, but toward the kind of emotional breaking point where everybody means something, and that is exactly the problem. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now, I don't think episode 6 of Sullivan's Crossing is going to be about one huge twist or one giant shock. In my opinion, this looks like the episode where pressure finally starts turning into consequence. And the biggest person standing in the middle of that pressure right now is Maggie, because whether she wants to admit it or not, her life is pulling in two emotional directions at once. On one side, there is Liam. That history is not dead. It's not buried. It's not just nostalgia. The more time Maggie spends around him, the more obvious it becomes that what they had did not simply disappear. It stayed unresolved.
And unresolved feelings are dangerous because they do not just sit quietly forever. They come back at the worst possible moment, usually when you are trying your hardest to move forward. On the other side, there is Cal, and what makes Cal different is not just that he is in Maggie's present, it is that he represents stability, trust, something she has been slowly building day by day instead of something tied to pain and unfinished history. That matters, because when a character is emotionally torn, the choice is not always between love and no love. Sometimes it is between one kind of love that still burns and another kind that feels safe enough to build a life around. And that is why I think episode 6 could be one of the most important episodes of the season. Not because Maggie finally picks someone outright, but because this could be the episode where she realizes she cannot keep pretending both connections can stay where they are forever. Eventually, something has to move. Now here is where the Ben and Tracy search mission becomes really important. On paper, it sounds like an external storyline, something practical, something serious that gives the episode stakes outside the relationship drama. But I actually think it is doing two things at once. Yes, it adds tension.
Yes, it gives Cal a purpose in the plot, but emotionally, it also forces Maggie and Cal into a situation where pressure can either deepen their connection or expose the cracks in it. That is what I find interesting. Stress reveals truth faster than comfort does. When people are calm, they can delay difficult feelings. When people are under pressure, the mask slips. The real instincts come out. And if Maggie is beside Cal through something intense, protective, and emotionally draining, then their bond may grow in a way that suddenly feels much harder for her to deny. Personally, I think this is one of the big theories worth watching. What if the search mission is not just there to create suspense? What if it is the thing that pushes Maggie emotionally closer to Cal at the exact same time Liam is pulling her backward toward everything she never resolved? Because that would make the situation much messier and much better dramatically. Now, let's talk about Liam, because I do not think he is fading into the background at all. In fact, I think episode 6 may quietly remind us why he is still such a problem for Maggie emotionally. Not because he is doing anything manipulative,
but because his presence alone is enough to stir up the part of her life she never really got closure on. And that leads directly into the big theory I think this episode is building. What if love is not enough? What if Maggie still loves Liam in some real way, but that is not the same thing as him being the right choice now? That is a brutal possibility, but it feels honest, especially for this show. Because sometimes the hardest decision is not choosing between someone you love and someone you do not. It is choosing between the person who still has your heart tangled up in the past and the person who might actually fit the life you are trying to build now. And that is where Sullivan's Crossing can get really painful really fast. Now, Cal's side of this should not be ignored either. I think one of the quietest but strongest theories for episode 6 is that Cal may begin to feel the emotional shift before Maggie says anything out loud. He seems like the type of character who notices distance long before it is confessed. And if the search mission pushes him and Maggie closer while Liam still hangs over everything emotionally, then Cal may start feeling like he is standing in a space that is no longer fully his. That kind of realization does damage. Not loud damage, not dramatic screaming in the rain damage. The worst kind, the quiet kind. The kind where a person starts pulling back because they are trying to protect themselves before they get hurt even more. In my opinion, if episode 6 gives Cal one of those scenes where you can tell he knows more than anyone is saying, that could be one of the most powerful moments of the season. Now, another theory I really like is that episode 6 is not just about romance. It is about responsibility. Maggie is not only choosing between feelings, she is also trying to be useful, supportive, dependable, and emotionally available to everyone around her at once. The problem is that trying to hold on to everyone usually means someone ends up feeling let go of anyway. That is why the title question matters so much. What if love is not enough to solve this? What if loyalty is not enough? What if history is not enough? What if chemistry is not enough? What if Maggie has to make a choice that hurts no matter which way she turns? That, to me, feels like where the season is really going now. And because this episode comes right after the midpoint, I think it may be less about answers and more about fallout beginning.
The first half of the season lets everyone avoid things. The second half usually starts forcing consequences. That means episode 6 could be the first chapter where emotional silence stops protecting anyone. And honestly, I think that is exactly why this episode could hit so hard. The trailer and setup make it look like a search mission episode with relationship tension around the edges. But I think the real story is much heavier. It is about Maggie reaching the point where staying emotionally undecided may start doing more damage than choosing. So my biggest prediction is this. The search mission with Ben and Tracy brings Maggie and Cal closer through pressure. Liam's presence continues to reopen feelings Maggie cannot control. And by the end of the episode, the emotional balance between all three of them becomes impossible to maintain. Not because someone confesses everything, not because there is one huge romantic scene, but because the truth becomes visible in smaller moments. A look, a pause, a choice under pressure. And once that happens, the rest of the season changes. But anyway, that is my theory breakdown for Sullivan's Crossing Season 4, Episode 6, and why I think this episode may be asking one painful question. What if love is not enough? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think Maggie is moving closer to Cal, or is Liam still the one she has never really left behind? I'll catch you in the next one.